Senator Smith.
Thank you very much, Mr President. My question is to the Minister for Industry, Innovation and Science. Can the Minister outline what the government is doing to make Australian buildings safe?
The Minister for Industry, Innovation and Science, Senator Sinodinos.
Thank you, Mr President. In light of the tragic incident at Grenfell Tower in London, there's clearly been strong interest in this issue here in Australia, and rightly so. But before I begin, I offer my sympathy, and I'm sure I speak on behalf of all of us in the House of the Chamber, to the residents and the friends and the family of residents of Grenfell Tower. Our regulators are in contact with the UK authorities who are conducting their own investigations, so I won't draw premature comparisons between that incident and the safety of Australian high-rise buildings, but I do want to provide some information about what we do here in Australia. The health and safety risks posed by non-conforming building products is a priority for the Australian Government. There is in place a National Construction Code which provides the minimum necessary requirements for safety, health, amenity and sustainability in the design and construction of new buildings. Since its implementation in 1994, the Code has specified that combustible materials cannot be used on the external walls of high-rise buildings. The NCC also contains other fire safety requirements that limit the spread of fire and alert the occupants. These requirements vary with the building size but can include smoke detection and occupant warning systems, more than one exit for each storey, fire sprinklers, fire-resistant construction, resistance to collapse as a result of fire, and features to assist fire brigade operations such as fire hydrants. Mr President, the Prime Minister will be writing to Premiers and Chief Ministers seeking their commitment to address issues around non-compliance and requesting information on current enforcement activities they undertake, because the state and territories are at the front line of enforcing the building regulations. We are also going to be writing to the relevant Senate committee. There's a Senate inquiry into non-conforming building products. And rather than hold a separate inquiry, we will be asking for that inquiry to expand to include an examination of current state and territory regulatory frameworks.
The the question has expired. Senator Smith, supplementary question.
Thank you, Mr President. Can the Minister advise what changes the government is implementing to strengthen building regulations?
Minister.
Thank you, Mr President. The Building Ministers Forum, which is chaired by my colleague, the Assistant Minister for Industry, Innovation and Science, Craig Laundy, oversees the Australian Building Codes Board, which is responsible for development of the National Construction Code. In December 2016, the Building Ministers Forum agreed that the Codes Board would implement a comprehensive package of measures to help address the risks associated with non-compliant use of external wall cladding on high-rise buildings and the broader issue of non-compliant use of building products. The package of measures include referencing a contemporary and rigorous testing standard based on international best practice for full-scale testing of the fire performance of external facade systems, providing rigorous, contemporary and clear NCC requirements to improve application and compliance, enhancing on-site checking, auditing and enforcement, increasing industry awareness of the need to be cognizant of the risks associated with non-compliance. The Building Ministers Forum is meeting again next week, and Mr Laundy will be pursuing these issues with his state counterparts.
The time for answering the question has expired. Senator Smith, final
Thank you, Mr President.
Question.
Can the Minister explain how the government is working with state and territory governments to progress this important work?
Minister.
Thank you, Mr President. Of course, as I said before, we need to work with our state and territory colleagues because they implement and comply with the regulations. We've taken a leadership role in driving a national effort to strengthen regulations and compliance with regulation, but more work needs to be done. The Victorian Government has conducted an audit of 170 buildings in relation to external wall cladding and found a non-compliance rate of 51%. This audit highlights the importance of the states and territories continually auditing and monitoring compliance against the building code to ensure confidence in our world-class built environment. Other states have also recently announced audits into compliance with the NCC on their high-rise buildings. We welcome this important action. We implore all states and territories to enforce compliance with the National Construction Code. We'll work cooperatively with them through the Building Ministers Forum to drive ongoing improvements and compliance with building and construction regulation.
Thank you, Minister.